Yeah, I want to hear your 11 for Bayern, and then I'll give the fans here on our podcast my again, I guess altered 11 from the show that you would have heard on Friday because of it seems more and more injuries are coming out even for both clubs with Serge Gnabry now
Yeah.
questionable for that match as well. So yeah, what is your Bayern Munich 11 heading into this one? We already mentioned a bunch of those players, but yeah, let's give it to us, and it's got to be a 4-2-3-1, right?
Yep. 4-2-3-1. Bayern also has a lot of injuries. There's questions about Luca Hernandez. There's questions about Leroy Sané. As I mentioned, Pavard is injured. So my idea of a lineup is that I think either Davies or Hernandez will be safe to go for the start. I'm going to say Davies, but really it's a coin flip. So I'd go Davies on the left, and it's assumed that Neuer is in goal.
Sure.
Davies on the left. You got a tandem in the middle of Niklas Süle and Dayo Upamecano. Stanisic on right back, and then the double pivot in the middle of Joshua Kimmich and Leon Goretzka. Müller in like a number 10 role, Robert Lewandowski up top. I'd say Jamal Musiala on the left wing, and then Leroy Sané on the right wing. And I'll even add that this has probably been Leroy Sané's best season in a Bayern uniform so far. He's shown so much better mental fortitude. Last year, he would hold the ball forever, dribble in and like try to do an Arjen Robben, and then blast the ball like 20 feet over the bar. And this year, it seems that he's calmed down from all of that. Because even last season, with it being a poor season from his standards, for the standard of that Bayern bought him for 50 million euro, he's done well. Like even that season, he picked up decent stats in scoring and assisting. So this season, I think a lot of people expect better out of him. And so far, we have every reason to believe that he'll actually achieve that.
Yeah, as you were saying, I was reminded that Leroy Sané also got his start at Schalke, as did Goretzka, as did Neuer. And right, if you're Bayern Munich, why do you watch any other teams other than Schalke, Dortmund, and Leipzig? I don't see why you would. Just looking at around the team, and then watch games at your own academy. And
I think that people that are fans of the Bundesliga, fans of Bayern Munich specifically, I have a theory that they don't follow Bayern Munich because they want to. I imagine there's a lot of people that say, "Oh, I want to be quirky. I don't want to root for a Chelsea or a Manchester club or anything like that. I'm going to be quirky. I'm going to root for a special German team, and they'll pick the best team in Germany." I think that people that enjoy watching the Bundesliga enjoy the stories and the fans behind every single club. And to that end, people will watch big games, right? There were a number of Bayern fans that I know that were watching Bayer Leverkusen, Borussia Dortmund at the weekend. And sure, Dortmund was one of the clubs that you mentioned, but if there's a big game, most Bundesliga fans will want to tune in for those games, even if everybody thinks that Bayern wraps up the league early, right? Bayern does kind of, in a lot of cases, wrap up the league early. But these last couple of seasons, it hasn't been decided until I would say like the final 4 weeks. 3 seasons ago, it wasn't decided until the final day. And keeping in mind, those positions 2 through 7 in the Bundesliga always swap. There are always different combinations each year. So
yeah, Dortmund was actually in danger of missing the Champions League for a considerable amount of time in the spring until finally turning around. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think there was a
while that VfB Stuttgart was going to qualify for the Champions League, and they haven't done that in years. So it always changes. It's always a very volatile mid-table. And I know that a lot of people in the Premier League will be like, oh, well, we don't have the same champion win. Yeah, but you have the same 5 win every year, right? And Bayern will win, right? But just looking back at all of the teams that have played in the Champions League and the Bundesliga in the last 5 years, right? Of course, you got Dortmund, but there's also Mönchengladbach and Leverkusen, and Freiburg was competing in the Europa League and doing very well. Eintracht Frankfurt.
Frankfurt's been good, yeah.
right? Like
Yeah,
Schalke before they decided to implode, right? They all contribute something different to the tapestry that is the Bundesliga, and most times they will swap and move within themselves at the top of that table. So I think people appreciate that. The mid-table and upper mid-table battles, I think, more than the title race in the Bundesliga. But then again, I'm also speaking from the advantage of being a Bayern fan.
As a neutral, I think the rest of us around the world just want to see Bayern bleed a little bit in the way that Juventus.
I will also take that, right? I've been saying for years that Bayern Munich needs to lose the Bundesliga. And
right, just once to upset the hierarchy, and then they can go back to doing, because the same thing with Barca and Real Madrid, that it can't always be. I mean, even as a Barca fan, I don't like the idea of the duopoly. So Atletico Madrid, I mean, if anyone but Real Madrid wins a Liga, I would prefer if Barca won it, but fine. Just don't let it be Real Madrid. And that winds up being the sentiment, I think, for most Kool-Aid. So I want to give our starting lineup, at least the one that I think is Koeman's going to go with, because unlike even the one that you mentioned, it doesn't sound like there's too many injuries around Bayern Munich, even without Serge Gnabry, and even with Pavard not completely healthy, and even with the changes in the offseason, sure. But that 11 is pretty fantastic itself. And I think for Barcelona, if there are any Bayern Munich fans listening to this for that case, Barcelona dealing with all the injuries they have, I think Ronald Koeman might be forced to start three at the back due to all the injuries of fullbacks and wingers. No Braithwaite, maybe out for a few months now, maybe no Dest. A hobbled Jordi Alba, no Ansu Fati, no Dembele. So, I mean, if I'm Bayern Munich, I'm licking my chops on the flanks and just looking at the lack of anything that Barcelona have. So it's basically Coutinho, Memphis, Luke de Jong, and Yusuf Demir to take up space on the wings, unless Sergio Roberto is trusted there, which I'm not so sure about that he will be. So I think, and also with Eric Garcia, he's not going to be my starting 11. You'd think that he would start to play through the pressure, that being Eric Garcia, but I'm weary of putting him up against Muller and Lewandowski. I think I'd rather prefer the athleticism of Ronald Araujo. And yeah, with the injury to Braithwaite, I expect that it's no longer going to be a 4-3-3. The other big factor being Dest, who, Barcelona got him over Bayern Munich, but Kool-Aids are still waiting for him to make the improvement that as an American, just like you, that I want him to be the best player he would be. That's why I actually figured, I said on this show that I can't imagine him choosing Barca, but I'm really glad he did. All that said, I assumed he would take Bayern because of what they can offer him in terms of personal improvement. That said, I think it's going to be a 3-5-2 with Ter Stegen, and then Piqué, Araujo, Mingueza at the back as the back three, Alba, Pedri, Busquets, Frankie de Jong, and Sergio Roberto basically across to the five, with Roberto and de Jong. I would actually assume Roberto might even be the midfielder, and de Jong will shade out a little bit farther to the wing. I could see that. And then up top, it'll be Memphis with a free roll, and then Luke de Jong as just a big body, number 9, playing his first game for Barcelona. So that'll be interesting if that, I can't imagine looking at the talent that is available, unless Coutinho is a shock starter somewhere. I can only assume that with who is healthy is going to be the starting 11 for Barcelona. So that said, that is an 11 that does, I know as a Bayern Munich fan, does not make you quake. It does not keep you up at night. However, if Barcelona are to get some kind of result, as Borussia Mönchengladbach did to start the season, that was a month ago, Bayern seemed to have gotten all fantastic results since then, including the 4-1 demolition of RB Leipzig yesterday morning. But it was a draw against Borussia Mönchengladbach. What do you think would need to have happened if to Bayern's side, if Barcelona were to get some kind of result, that being even a 2-1 victory, a 2-2 draw, whatever it may be?
So I will tell you what Bayern needs to do, and then I will tell you the history as to why they will not. So I think their midfield play, right? The only way that anyone will ever be able to dominate Bayern Munich is if they dominate the midfield, right? You saw that even in the fact that they got knocked out by PSG last season, Bayern still dominated the midfield in that second game. With missing Lewandowski, that was incredibly important that they managed to do that, and they did. It was unfortunate that their first goal went in the home leg that they played, but even still, they had a fantastic midfield. PSG did, right? You had Verratti in there, and that entire midfield is well built. Anyone that has any chance of beating Bayern has to disrupt that midfield. So you look at Mönchengladbach. They have some fantastic midfielders there. Neuhaus, Florian Neuhaus, Lars Stindl. They have Dennis Zakaria, right? They have a fantastic midfield that can all counter and possess pretty well in the middle of the field. So Looking at this Barcelona team, if I was a Barcelona fan, and I like Barcelona for my Spanish team because I could not be asked to root for Real Madrid.
It's not why we brought you on the show, but I will take it.
Fair enough. The enemy of our enemies are our friends, basically.
Agreed.
So I'm very scared about Busquets if I'm a Barcelona fan. I know that he's been a stable rock, but with how quickly Bayern presses up, I don't know if he has a chance. Even against players like Goretzka and Kimmich, right? Keeping in mind, Kimmich is a right back, and Goretzka played as an attacking midfielder option at Schalke. They're both very, very fast. So it's tough. It's tough for people to win in the midfield. If I'm looking at anybody, I'm looking at Frankie de Jong. And it's entirely based on what your assumption is, right? Is de Jong going to swing out to the wing, or is he going to play in the center? As much as Sergio Roberto might be a detriment on the wing, I would need Frankie de Jong to be in the midfield, right? You need him there to win those battles against Kimmich, against Goretzka, if he can against Müller. So to me, that is the way that I could see Barcelona getting a result. With that being said, Bayern Munich has a very long history of success in the first game of the group stage. So I want to play this quick game with you, right? I'm going to tell you I'm going to have you guess the last time that Bayern Munich lost in the first game of the group stage. And I will give you a hint. I will tell you the name of the team, but you have to guess the season. Okay?
All right, let's do it.
The team they played and lost to was Deportivo La Coruña.
So that would probably be 2002 or 2003, maybe.
That's it. That's exactly it. The last time Bayern Munich lost the first game of the group stage was the 2002-03 season. And then since then, they haven't failed to win. Allow me to put that again. They haven't drawn. They haven't lost. They have won every single game since then. They did not play in the Champions League in the 2007-08 season, right? So since that loss, a 2-1 win over Celtic, a 1-0 win over Maccabi Tel Aviv, a 1-0 win over Club Brugge, a 4-0 win over Spartak Moscow, a 1-0 win over Steaua Bucharest in the 08-09 season. And then from that point on, Bayern successively qualified. So then it was a 3-0 over Maccabi Haifa, a 2-0 over Roma, a 2-0 over Villarreal, a 2-1 over Valencia, a 3-0 over CSKA Moscow, a 1-0 over Man City, a 3-0 over Olympiacos, a 5-0 over Rostov, a 3-0 over RSC Anderlecht, a 2-0 over Benfica, a 3-0 over Red Star of Belgrade, and a 4-0 over Atletico Madrid. In 17 first games in the group stage, they have an aggregate of 42-2.
So the interesting stat though there is I'm interested to know between other than Man City and Atletico Madrid, I don't think you mentioned a single team that finished second in their group. And that's going to be the real question for Barcelona. And I think the big context of this game.
Benfica did in 18-19, but even beyond that, right? Roma's not a bad team.
No.
Valencia from 2012-13, not a bad team. So yes, you're right that a lot of the games are cupcakey, but I would challenge you to find me a tougher game than playing away to Red Star Belgrade or Olympiacos on a Champions League night.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm going to strain your final point through the optimism strainer. And I actually agreed with you that if Barcelona are to get a result, Frankie de Jong is going to have to probably be the best player on the field, which he, for Barcelona, has been already this season. He's been one of the bright spots to start the year. But yeah, Frankie de Jong is going to have to be better than Kimmich, better than Goretzka, and Sergio Busquets cannot be the Sergio Busquets that gets cut out in the counterattack as we have seen so far.